What's up, everybody? And today we're checking out a Special Forces story. This is from the Ranveer show. I think I might have seen this podcast before. I think I might have actually reacted to a snippet of this podcast before. It's an Indian-based podcast. And this is a guy called Major Vivek Jacob. I think that's how you say it, Vivek. Major Vivek Jacob from the Indian Army. This guy apparently is, from what I've heard, was part of the Indian Special Forces and is regarded as basically one of the top-notch guys that they've had in recent history. And so, yeah, we're going to check out some of his story that he tells. It's like a 7-minute long video of a story. So let's watch it. Let's enjoy it. Let's see what his take is on what he's been up to and what he's been going and doing in the Special Forces of India. I don't know what part of the Special Forces in India he was part of because there's quite a few different branches, isn't there? So this is going to be super interesting. You know, if you're watching these videos at this point, you know that I'm really intrigued by Indian culture, whether that's the military, whether that's Hinduism and stuff like that. I'm super into that stuff. And so I love watching this stuff. And if you have more recommendations, go ahead and let me know in the comments. And as always, if you want to watch the original video, I always do this, guys. I always pay respects to the OG videos. Down in the description, first line, go over there, give it a subscribe, give it a like. Make sure you go ahead and do that, okay, guys? I literally just like this video. Let me pull it up so you can see it. Make sure you go over, you subscribe and like these videos just as much as I do. I think it's very important that you do that. Show credit where credit's due. Do we have anything else to say before I get started? I don't think I do. If you're interested in what I use to record all these videos, like my headset and my mic and all this lot, it's down in the description as well. I think that's it. I think we can just crack on. I don't think I've got anything else to announce right now. Yet. Let's shut up and watch this, shall we?
Suddenly, a whole like machine gun fire started on us. Accurate machine gun fire. Like,
I wonder where he was here when this was happening. I'm sure he's going to tell us.
how chaos comes out of the darkness. Boom. Accurate fucking buddy, this big motherfucking bullets coming at you. Whew. So 2 seconds into that, and I just thought at that point of time that the man who stands now and returns fire, he's the leader. So I stood up and I started fucking firing back.
Okay, Major Vivek Jacob. The images and clips used in the video are for visualization only.
The Indian Special Forces, for someone who knows about the army, it's considered okay. This is like the most, for lack of a better word, badass part of the army. And there's not much about that out there. And I know it's going to change in the next 10, 20 years, sir. But if the change had to begin with this question, how would you introduce the Indian Special Forces to the Indian audiences?
So, okay, before we get started with that, let me give you my take on Special Forces. Obviously, there is quite a reputation for Special Forces. They are legit the best of the best soldiers, right? They have passed the most difficult tasks, the most difficult tests, the most difficult training. They are literally like your top-notch soldier for your country. And so this man who is part of the Indian Special, or was part of the Indian Special Forces represents the top tier. Now, if I'm saying this correctly, he's obviously the rank of major, or he was a rank of major, which not only puts him in the top branch of the military, it also makes him an officer in that branch. Now, many people don't know this, but officer training is much different than regular training. This is me knowing from the Royal Marines Commandos, right? What happens here in Britain for the Royal Marines Commandos is the officers do the 32-week training like we do, but they have a whole nother layer on top of it. It ends up being a crazy amount of weeks of training. Like, I think it's like nearly over a year for the Royal Marines to become an officer over here. And then if you're going to go for SF, for Special Forces on top of that, not only is going from, for me personally, like a Marine to Special Forces, almost, you know, I know a little bit of that process just because I've had friends that have done it, but like, a lot of it is still unknown, right? There's different styles of training that I'm aware of, but actually I'm not going to go on this channel just because I have massive respects for the British Special Forces and I don't want to start running my mouth off. But the jump from officer in the military to Special Forces officer, in my presumption, is that it's only even more difficult. Does that make sense? So not only are you going from military to SF, you're going from officer in the military to Officer SF, which is even higher. All right, guys. So just bear that in mind.
Special forces stand for efficiency. It's the highest form of efficiency that a human being can achieve in this reality. You send me naked in a mountain and you leave me there, I'll get back. And I'll go and do what needs to be done because I've chosen that experience. So that's where the spirit comes from. So 3 years in the NDA and then 1 year in the IMA. And then after all of this intense amount of ragda that you get and you still choose for more, right? So it takes balls to fill in your volunteer form. From the moment you land up at that gate, from there onwards, your life shifts. All your paraphernalia of your ego and your perceptions of yourself and all those things, they dissolve in the amount of energy which is expended or you are exposed to.
I also want to preface by saying that it also takes a certain type of person to go SF. A lot of people, and again, all I could do is compare this to my time in the Commandos and then friends who went into SF. A lot of people who are in the Royal Marines Commandos, which I'm presuming is the same kind of thing for the Indian military, is they're already the best of the best soldiers. They're already incredible. If you've got a Green Beret and you're in the Marines, you're one of the best of the best. Now, what the difference between that and SF is that it takes a certain type of character, a certain type of like ethos, a certain type of willing to do different things, to think differently. And they're all the things they're looking for in recruits to go into SF. It's not just a case of you're fitter and stronger, which for the most part, they are usually fitter and stronger. I think personally, it's a lot more mental than it is about skill and fitness. There's a lot more mental boxes you've got to tick to get into SF more than anything else. And that's just from my experience of being in the Commandos and knowing friends that have gone through it and have told me, hey, this is what it's kind of like here, here, and here, and this is what they kind of do, and knowing through the grapevine of what goes on as well.
Just shatters all that is around you, and very quickly you are brought out from there. You come to realize about yourself a lot, of what your body is capable of, what your mind is capable of, what your heart is capable of, and what is there beyond when you give up, when you just let it all go, and you're hanging by that thread of choice. Because it's a choice you made. So you're hanging by the thread of choice, constantly there. Even if, Yamraj comes and stands in front of you, you'll tell her, fucking put a bullet in you, man. Get the fuck out of my way.
You get through this process, and from what I hear, it's a lot about breaking through all the layers, getting to the core. And the process of breaking those layers, some people's cores break, and those are the ones that leave. And the ones who are left.
Yeah, he's not wrong there. That's very similar to how Royal Marines Commandos training works. There's like a brief period. There's the first 2 weeks, which gets rid of a lot of people. But the first 9 weeks of Royal Marines Commando training, you're kind of just getting rid of the people who you just know that aren't really cut out for it. And again, it's a lot of like knowing how the person thinks. Oh, this person's got a bit too much ego or whatever, or this guy's not cracking on with his admin and all this lot. Like, you can kind of already tell the people in them early stages who are just not only are not cut out for it, but are not the type of people to mold and change into what they want. And so that first period is very much getting rid of people up until like week 23, which I think because obviously I've talked about this quite a lot, on my channel. 32 weeks of British Royal Marines Commandos training. When you get past like week 23, the majority of the people at that point are like, they're mentally there. They're mentally good enough to be Royal Marines. It's all about, at that point, whether your body's going to let you do it without getting injured. And so, yes, breaking them all the way down to the Bobby basics, breaking them down, and then build them in a way that they want them to be built into. So for me, I was only 16 when I did it. They brought me right down to, Bobby basics. And then they started instilling these different ethos to make me into a Royal Marine. I didn't go into the Marines, if I'm honest, as someone who could probably be a Marine. I went into the Marines as someone who was willing to change and become someone that could be a Marine. And that's how I got through it. And there's a lot of people that do that same thing. And I think they're the people who are usually the ones that are good at adapting and changing and willing to mold themselves into a situation that they're allowed to, that they need to be in. And so my guess is SF It's kind of like that, but even more extreme and way more extreme, if that makes sense.
With that pure core,
They become more powerful. Well, now you realize yourself, you know what you are. You just look back at what you have gone through for this long period of time, and then you realize that nothing is impossible. Nothing.
do you feel that combat also continues your training process?
Of course. It's like a painter who hasn't painted. If a special forces soldier has, you've gone through NDA, you've gone through IMA, you've gone through a lot of shit in life, you volunteered, you got into, reached the battalion, gates of hell, and you reached there and you've gone through a process of 6 months of bloody getting screwed up and this, that, and all that, and then you have not seen combat, or you've seen very less of combat, you're not there. So I remember my first combat experience. What happened? I was sitting on top of a mountain. We had to go.
There's British soldiers right there. In fact, that's a Royal Marine right there. Look at it. He's got Royal Marines Commando on his shoulder right there. It's my boys right here. Look at that.
down and do what we have come there to do. So I was supposed to sit with the radio set and listen. What my team commander told me, you listen and learn. That's what he told me. You keep sitting there. See what happens. So I was sitting and waiting, and then the two squads which were going down for the hit, they were passing by just next to me. Yeah, they were going down. And I knew, fucking, they are going for combat right now. They are going to experience right now. And the last guy was going, and I just told my buddy, I'm also going, bye-bye. And I went down behind the last guy. So I reached there, and I informed my team commander that, sir, I am here now. So he said, okay. And obviously there is no extracting me back from there now, because the contact is going to happen now, right? So he let it be. It was my choice.
That is a massive sign of being able to adapt into certain scenarios, which is very, very important. Not only for SF, but any soldier. But the thing is, with SF, you really have to put yourself in situations that you don't like. So they call Royal Marines thinking soldiers, right? We're soldiers who have to be aware of what's going on. Like if an officer says, move these boxes from here to here, a regular army infantry or a regular box standing infantry, they will all go them, get them boxes, pick them up, and move them there. But a thinking soldier goes, okay, how can I get them boxes over here as quick as I can, as efficiently as I can, in the best way possible with conserving it? Like all these different things are going through your mind while you're doing it and trying to figure it out. Now, SF they're even more independent than that. They're even the next level higher. The next level higher. They're the ones who are like, oh, my friends have been told to do this. I'm going to go and give them a help, even if I've been told not to, because I think it makes more sense. Or I'm going to put myself in a situation that is detrimental to me, but beneficial to everyone else. Like they think they're even more outside of the limits of what's being told what to do. And so, again, it's a certain type of person. I was never that person. Never that person. It takes a certain type of person to be in the SF.
So, and then first stop, first contact, first hit. That's how I experienced it. I chose it.
That takes a certain type of person to choose that.
There is no authority in combat. When the shit is flying and death is like constantly zipping around you, like that, there is no authority. There is no captain, major, colonel, brigadier. Frickin' no one. It's just you and the people who are there with you. And what are you going to do right now? That is what decides leadership there. That is what either keeps it all together or everything is destroyed.
In all your missions, you've not seen casualties to the extent where, I don't think you've taken a bullet yourself or you've not had a bullet injury.
Nothing. Every fucking time chaos has hit, right? Through that chaos, never taken a bullet. Had enough of fucking bullets fired at me. I've had fucking weapons shoved in my face. I've been surrounded by enemy. I've opened my hands like this and looked at him in the fucking eye and told him, it's okay, I've killed 4 like you. Okay, kill me, man. Fuck off. Right? And then look beyond what is there to see what is there now. to see it and experience it. Like my whole life flashed in front of it. 3 times it has happened. No, whole life flash like that. It's a flash. It's beyond time. There is no time. It doesn't happen in a microsecond or a 1 second or a 10 seconds or whatever. It just happens.
You know, I kind of want to watch this whole podcast. It's got what looks like the whole podcast in the description right here. I think after this, I'm going to go ahead and just watch it all. I'll listen to it all on my own time. I want to know more about this guy's actual experience. That obviously he's talking about what it takes to be SF or Indian Special Forces. I want to know more about what he's been up to personally.
So yes, there have been lot of out of control chaos which has come like that, come suddenly, come without warning, and got out of it. Yeah.
Cool story. At the end, you realize that nothing is impossible. Nothing, Major Vivek Jacob. Let's turn this down a bit. If death strikes you, it strikes before I prove my blood. I promise I will kill death. Captain Manoj Pandey. Either I will come back after hoisting the tricolours, or I will come back wrapped in it. But I'll be back for sure. Captain Vikram Batra. That's a pretty cool quote. I like that one. I regret I have but one life to give to my country. Damn. That's really cool. What a cool video. Obviously, it's just like a snippet of the whole podcast. If you want to watch the whole thing, down in the description below, I'll leave a link. Go over there and watch it. The guy's impressive. He's obviously got some incredible experience and he's obviously done some really cool stuff. I'm going to have to watch some more of his stuff and find out what he's been up to. I have mad respect for anyone who's in a high tier of military, no matter what country they're from, because usually the training they've been through is related to what I've been through, but if not even more when it comes to SF, obviously. So it'd be super interesting to learn more about him. Anyways, what did you think? Let me know in the comment section down below. I love watching stuff from India. It's really, really cool. I love learning about Indian culture. It's very, very impressive. Let me know in the comments what you think and if there's something you want me to react to after this. Other than that, I love you all. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.